Okay, it's your girl Simply Stacy, and I am back for another YouTube video. I want to thank all of my subscribers. We are up to 94, which is amazing because it is January and I started my channel in November, end of November, and it is currently the end of January, and I'm already up to 94 subscribers. So I thank each and every one of you. Please continue to watch, continue to like, subscribe, and please share my videos. So this is a really different video. So this is all about books, and more books. So I'm actually I'm not in the process of writing a book because guess what? It's done. I actually finished my book on, I think, December the 19th. Okay, guys, so the name of my book is Simply Success, Defining and Manifesting the Level of Success You've Always Envisioned. So this is my working cover. Okay, so actually it's not. I haven't hired a cover designer yet. I am at the editing process. So I have edited on my own, self-edited, and now I am in the process of finding an editor. So once I get my book edited, published, cover design, all that good stuff, and then get it published, it will be ready for you guys to order. Okay, so you'll hear more about my book, but right now we're going to talk about all the books that I actually read in 2019. Okay, so I've always been an avid reader when I was younger. As I've gotten older, out of school, I'm like, oh, I'm going to do some more reading. Back in the day, it used to literally just be one genre, right? African-American, like literature, fiction, romance, novels, things of that nature. But as I've gotten older and gotten out of school, I've broadened. And you'll see that from this list of books. I literally read about 30 books last year. I sat down, I went through all of the books I read, and I was like, oh my goodness, I actually read about 30 books. So this video is all about the books I read. I hope that I have some good ones that you guys can try out if you like to read, or as I got older, I didn't really have the time, right? But I still love the stories and all of that. So what I did is I got a library card. So this is how you can get free Audibles or free audiobooks. So I don't purchase Audibles. I had a free trial, so I got a couple of books for free, and I read those probably about 2 years ago. But a friend of mine in a book club that I recently joined, I guess I joined my book club in 2018, and they told me about a library card here in Michigan. I don't know if it's anywhere else, but in Macomb County, Michigan, if you have a library card to any of the libraries, you can use an app called Libby or Overdrive. I will put those both in the description box. But if you have a library card for the city that you live in, you can put that information into one of those two apps, and you can borrow audiobooks or even Kindle books or any kind of electronic books from any of the libraries that are associated with that cooperative. It is amazing. Like anything that's free, I'm here for it. And it's like they have good books. Some of them are books I would not have purchased myself, or they're books that, you know, I may not have read. However, I'll tell you that I have come across some really good ones. So here it is. Let's get to it. Okay, so I'm going to give you a list of the 30 books I read. If you guys see me looking down, it's because I typed them all up on my iPad. So I do have notes because I cannot remember them all. But I went back to my library and I could see all the books that I ordered last year, all the ones I completed, you know, some that I may have ordered over and over again. So quick, with the Libby and the Overdrive, you can set it to either 14 days or 21 days. You can have it for that period of time. If you're getting close to the end, if you're getting close to the end, you can extend if no one is waiting on the book. If people are waiting, then you have to put in another hold, which can be a month, a week, a day, or it may be available. So I started going for books at first that were very popular, and I would get those and I would hold those books, but then I would see what was available in Audibles, available on Kindle, and I would just get those books. So you will see that the genres, I skip around a bit. I've opened up my mind, and I really enjoyed all the reading or listening that I did in 2019. So the very first book is by Jerome Dickey, When I say he was my all-time favorite author, back in the day, like I read Milk and My Coffee, I read Friends and Lovers, like those were my books. Those got me hooked on reading. I guess it started with The Coldest Winter Ever, but after that, Jerome, Dickey, anything he wrote, I was reading it. Okay, so the book that I read was called The Blackbirds. Okay, it says, New York Times best-selling author Jerome Dickey delivers his next delectable romance. Okay, they call themselves the Blackbirds. Kwanzaa Brown, Indigo, Destiny Jones, and Erica Stockwell are four best friends who are closer than sisters and will go to the ends of the earth for one another. Yet even their deep bond can't heal all the wounds from their individual parts as the collegiate and post-collegiate women struggle with their own demons, dramas, and desires. When I say I enjoyed that book, like I literally enjoyed that book. I forgot how much I loved Jerome Dickey. I hadn't read anything of his in years, literally years. It was such a good book. If you guys are into that kind of thing, hey, my recommendation is to read it. I thoroughly enjoyed that. When I tell you that this book had scandal, intrigue, everything. I won't give away too much, but please check it out. Okay, so book number 2 that I listened to in 2019, and I am actually giving them to you in the order in which I read them. This one is called The One. It is a series. This is the first book in a series by Kiera, and the name of the series is called The Selection. This book, The One by Kiera, is number 3 in the series, The Selection. So I think I read or listened to books 1 and 2. The first one I think is called The Selection. The second one is called The Elite. And those books, I read those in 2018. So this is the third one in the series, and it is called The One. And so these books give me the vibe of, I want to say like Hunger Games meets The Bachelor. The Bachelor? I don't know. So I'm a Hollis romantic. I love The Bachelor, and I watched all the series of The Hunger Games. So basically, let me take it back. So the first 2 books, the first book was called The Selection, and so think about like the royal family meets The Bachelor. So there's this royal family, and then there are all these, I guess, caste or villages, women that get to come and try to marry the prince, and it's kind of like they're on television, and they have all these pageant type of settings, and they live in the house with the bachelor or the prince, and they get a chance to like go on dates and for him to pick one at the end. Now, all of these women come from different castes. So that's kind of why I think of like the Hunger Games, because you have the people from like the wealthy places, and then, you know, the poorer places, but each cast actually gets a young girl to go and try to vie for the prince's affection. So it was interesting. I do feel like probably young adults will probably like it, but I enjoyed both of the books. So I'm on, in 2019, I read number 3, which was called The One. It says, America's singer searches for her happily ever after in the swoon-worthy young adult romance. Perfect for readers who loved Divergent, which I also watched that series in the movie form. I didn't read the books. Okay. Entering The Selection changed America Singer's life in ways she never could have imagined. Since she arrived at the palace, America has struggled with her feelings for her first love, Aspen, and her growing attraction to Prince Maxton. Now she's made her choice, and she's prepared to fight for the future she wants. This book was good. Okay, so Aspen, he's from where she's from, so they're poor. He actually makes his way into the military and ends up guarding the prince. And she's vying for the prince's love and affection. It's a whole mess. Like, they sneaking away. Listen, it was a good book, a good read. Kiera, and the name of the series is called The Selection, and I enjoyed it. Okay. So book number 3. So the third book, The Total Money Makeover. So I told you guys I had different genres, different types of authors, everything. So this actually is a Dave Ramsey book. It is a proven plan for financial fitness, and it was one I had heard so many things about. It was free, so I did listen to that. So the success stories speak for themselves in this book from Money Maestro Dave Ramsey. Instead of promising the normal dose of quick fixes, he offers a bold, no-nonsense approach to money matters, providing not only the how-to, but also a grounded and uplifting hope for getting out of debt, achieving financial wealth. So I really enjoyed that book. So my book is Simply Success. There are multiple chapters. You want to talk about yourself. So making sure that yourself, your mind, your body, your finances are in order. So that book was more of a research book, but I'm all into that money matters thing. I'm also a financial coach. So hey, get at me if you need some of that help. But yeah, so I'll talk a little bit about that in my book too, so you guys stay tuned. Okay, so number 4, the 4th book from last year. It is Girl, Wash Your Face, Stop Believing the Lies About Who You Are So You Can Become Who You Are Meant to Be by Rachel Hollis. Okay, and this book, I only came across it because I joined a book club in 2018, and so honestly, I wasn't as active this year, but every time they would send out the list of books, I would still try to get them if they were at the library. Or my mom actually had Audibles, so sometimes she let me use hers to listen that way, because that was actually the only way that I could actually get through all these books, because I'm a busy lady and I don't have time. I just don't have the time. I get off work, I'm tired, I want to go to bed, I don't have time to read chapters on chapters on chapters. So listening. So quick tips on how you can also read 30 books in a year. It's like, listen when you're getting ready for work. Listen on your way to and from work and your commute. Depending on how long it is, you can get a couple of chapters in. Sometimes before bed, I still will listen, but I know I fall asleep more often on the books that way. So my best time is in the morning while I'm getting ready and when I'm driving back and forth to work, or just in the car commuting wherever I'm going. Okay. So that book was a New York Times bestseller, and it says, do you ever suspect that everyone else has life figured out and you don't have a clue? If so, then Rachel Hollis has something to tell you. That is a lie. Okay, so as the founder of a lifestyle website, The Chic Site, and CEO of her own media company, Rachel Hollis developed an immense online community by sharing tips for better living while fearlessly revealing the messiness of her own life. Now, in this challenging and inspiring new book, she exposes the 20 lies and misconceptions that too often hold us back from living joyful and productive lives. Lies we've told ourselves so often we don't even hear them anymore. So the book was okay. I was going to say it was just okay. It wasn't a favorite of mine. I don't recall the 20 lies. So I don't know that I enjoyed it all that much, but I did read it. They had lots of discussion about it at the book club. But it was an okay book. I think it's a book you should try out for yourself. Yep, if any of that sounded interesting, then check it out. So book number 5, Secret Obsession by Kimberla, Lawson, Roby. So I'm going to tell you, her, just like Jerome, Dickey back in the day, anything she wrote, I was reading. My mom enjoyed her books. I feel like the first one I read, I don't even know the name of it, but the man in the book, the main character, Curtis Black, he was a preacher. He was a mess. Like when I say he was a mess, and all the subsequent books were about him, his daughter Alicia, you know, all these other things that was happening in their lives. And this book, it was good. It was really good. And I read this on my mom's Audible. So I think I was at a moment where I didn't have one in my library. So I was like, Mom, can I see what you're reading? And so I read it, and it was pretty good. It says, Paige Donahue has always lived in her sister Camille's shadow. As children, Camille had the grades, the friends, and their parents' love, while Paige was left with hand-me-downs and criticism. Now as adults, Camille lives an idealistic life with her husband, Pierce, and her 2 perfect children in a beautiful home, while Paige is stuck in a small with bills she can't afford to pay, but no more. With Paige's plan to steal her brother-in-law starts to work, Listen, she was trying to steal her sister's husband. Yeah, y'all need to read this book. She was desperate. You know, she had moves from envy and madness. It just was a very dangerous scheme, and no one could have ever imagined it. So, let me tell you, read the book. That's all I got to say. It's just read book number 6, Big Little Lies by Liane Moriarty. I think that is how you pronounce it. It's M-O-R-I-A-R-T-Y. And so, I don't know if you guys have seen, but there is actually an HBO series called Big Little Lies. And I recently started watching that. I'm only on episode 1. But a coworker told me that it's really good and I need to watch it. So I'm probably going to go back and get really into it. I think they're on season 2 currently. But I listened to the book and it was such a good book. Who knew? Who knew I would enjoy it? Okay. So from the author of 9 Perfect Strangers, Truly Madly Guilty and The Husband's Secret, comes another New York Times bestseller, #1 bestseller. About dangerous little lies we tell ourselves just to survive. A murder, a tragic accident, or just parents behaving badly. What's indisputable is that someone is dead. When I tell y'all, it started with a murder. I was in. I was all in. It was a really good book. And I've been watching just season 1, and it's pretty spot on. I think there are some differences from the book. But guys, check it out. Number 7. So the 7th book, okay, 32 Candles by Ernessa T. Carter. 32 Candles is slightly twisted, utterly romantic, and definitely weary story of Davy Jones, who, if she doesn't stand in her own way, just might get the man of her dreams. She's an ugly duckling growing up in a small town in Mississippi. She is positive her life couldn't get any worse. She has the meanest mother in the South, possibly the world's. And on top of that, she's pretty sure she's ugly. Just when she's resigned herself to her fate, she sees a movie that would change her life, and it was called 16 Candles. But in her case, life doesn't imitate art. She was tormented endlessly in school, and they called her Monkey Knight. Hopelessly in unrequited love with the handsome football player, James Farrell, Davy finds that it is bittersweet dreams of Molly Ringwald ending. When a cruel school prank goes too far, she leaves that life she's known behind and reinvents her world in Hollywood as a beautiful and successful lounge singer in a swanky nightclub. Yes, she is finally a million miles away from everything that she's known. She started over, and then she bumps into that James Farrell, her unrequited love from so long ago. He don't even know who she is. But she can't bring herself to end the fantasy. She lets him fall deeply in love with her. And then he breaks her heart again. It comes back with a vengeance. The past. Let me tell y'all. That was a good book. I hadn't expected. It's a really good book. Very good book. So book number 8. We're back to Kiera Cass's The Selection series. This was book number 4. So I told you guys about number 3 before that. This is called The Heir. And like I said, it was all The Bachelor meets The Hunger Games, meets all these people. And it started with the selection of the parents. And then it went down to they had a kid. And then the selection of the child. And, you know, the heir to the throne and all this stuff. It was just a really good book. I like the series. Like I said, Divergent. Any of those types of movies or books that you guys may be interested in, then this is also one. Okay, so number 9, To All the Boys I Loved Before by Jenny Han. This is also a series. It's book number 1. I think there are 3 books, and I think I've only read 2 of them. Okay, and it was also a major motion picture, and it was on Netflix. So you guys can see it on Netflix, or you can actually listen or read the book. So Lara Jean's love life gets complicated with New York Times bestseller, Loving lighthearted romance from the best-selling author of the Summer I Turned Pretty series. Okay, so let me give you the little skinny on this book. I think it's also another young adult book, but basically there's this young girl, I believe she's in middle school, and she has different phases in her life where she likes different young men or boys, and whether they like her or not, whether they know that she likes them or not, when she gets over them, she writes them a letter. She never mails it off. Some kind of way, the letters get mailed to all of the guys she's loved before, and they start coming to her like, oh, did you write me this letter? And all this stuff. So it's really embarrassing, but, you know, it's a good story. It's lighthearted. It's fun. Yeah, nice little romantic book for young adults. Number 11 was called The Heist. It was also a New York Times bestseller. Nicholas Fox is an international con man famous for running elaborate scams on very rich and powerful people. He knows the FBI has been hot on his trail for years, particularly FBI Special Agent Kate O'Hare. But just when it seems that Fox has been captured for good, he pulls off his greatest con of all. He convinces the FBI to offer him a job working side by side with O'Hare. So this book sounds amazing, right? I'm like, oh, I could read this. I feel like I've seen the TV show. I don't know what it was called, but I feel like I've seen the show. The book sounds very interesting, but I could not get into it. I don't know if it was the people that were reading the books. I don't know. I had to borrow it twice. I don't know if it's just where I was in my life at the time, if I was just so busy. It just didn't pique my interest like some of the other ones. I did finally get through it and finish it, but it wasn't my favorite, but it could have just been me. So if that sounds interesting to you, then please check it out. It is called...
Okay, I forgot to record book number 12. It is called 9 Perfect Strangers by Liane Moriarty. This book was recommended by the book club. I'm not going to say it was a favorite of mine, but it did take place at some kind of a med spa like Club Med or some type of a resort. 9 people are going through some really traumatic stuff in their lives. They all end up at the same place. They're being treated by people who are giving them drugs and all this other stuff. I mean, it is an interesting book. It's just not one that I would necessarily recommend.
So now we're on number 13. So number 13 is China Rich Girlfriend by Kevin Kwan. So actually, this is book number 2. The first book was Crazy Rich Asians, and you guys know that was a motion picture. It came out in theaters. I went to go see it. Really good movie. I think it's still on HBO. It may be going off of HBO on demand or whatever the HBO Go app or something that I have. But this was a good book. I like the first movie. I watched Crazy Rich Asians. I can't remember if I went back and actually listened to the book or did I just start with book number 2. Can't remember. But yes, it says, it's the eve of Rachel Chu's wedding and she should be over the moon. She has flawless Asher cut diamond and a wedding dress she loves and a fiance willing to thwart his meddling relatives to give up one of the biggest fortunes in Asia in order to marry her. Still, Rachel mourns the fact that her birth father, a man she never knew, won't be there to walk her down the aisle. It's good. Romantic. You learn more about their culture. Singapore is where they're from, or at least where the husband, who's wealthy, that's where he is from. They currently lived in New York, all this good stuff. So you'll you'll hear and visualize all these like lovely places to travel. You guys know I travel a lot. I just went to Asia for the first time. So it was just exciting to hear and hear all the things about Singapore and things of that nature. So this is the second book. It is a trilogy, so there are 3 books total. The very next book, number 14, was that 3rd book in the series, and it was called Rich People Problems by Kevin Kwan again, and it was number 3 in the Crazy Rich Asians trilogy, and that was a good book too. So I won't even give you guys I won't tell you what it's about because think about what I said about the other books, but this may give away something if I tell you what this book is about, because then if you haven't read or seen book 1 or 2, then it may give something away, you know, sewing ties and all this stuff, and you might be like, oh my god, that person died, and you hadn't even read any of the other books. So I don't want to run that for you, but if you like it, if you don't feel like reading it, please go out and see Crazy Rich Asians, rent it at the movies or live stream it or whatever you got to do. I enjoyed it. It was a love story. It just happened to be a whole Asian cast, right? I know I love African American movies. Hey, I like the Crazy Rich Asian movie too. Same thing. They have the same problems. They have family drama. They fall in love. Hey, just go out. Educate yourselves. Learn more about their culture. It's good. And the movie's in English. So if you don't speak any of the languages, then you're fine. Now, I think some parts go back and forth, but they'll tell you what it is in English, even in the book. So you'll be fine. Don't you worry. Okay, book number 15. Okay, so this is from that first series. No, not the first series. This is from a different series I told you about earlier. And it's called P.S. I Still Love You by Jenny Han. And this is book number 2 in that series, To All the Boys I Once Loved. Remember I told you it was like a young adult. All her letters got mailed to different guys. So yeah. So I won't give this away either because I feel like when you start going into what the series, the second or the third books are about, you kind of give away what could have happened in book 1. So I won't do that, but if that is something that you would like to read, then go ahead and check out book 1, and then you can just keep going. I think there are 3 books, and I don't think I've read the third one yet because it's not in my library, so I can't get it online. But once it is, I will definitely check that one out. Okay, so book number 16 is The Truths We Hold, An American Journey by Kamala Harris. And she is my sorority sister. She's a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. And she was also a 2020 presidential candidate, okay? So I had to read her book. It was very interesting. It was a memoir, so it's about her life. And, you know, she was a senator prior to saying that she was going to run for the president seat in 2020. And it talked about her time as a lawyer before that, and it was just very, very interesting. So from one of America's most inspiring political leaders, a book about the core truths that unite us and the long struggle to discern what those truths are and how best to act upon them in her own life and across the life of our country. Okay, so it is just a really good book if you were ever curious about who this woman is, this African-American woman who was running for president. She did have to bow out of the race, but I was definitely rooting for her. Okay, so book number 17 was Simon versus the Homo Sapien Agenda by Becky, let me see, Albertalli, I believe, Albertalli. And this also was a movie. I do not believe I saw the movie, but I did listen to the book because I knew that it was a movie. It has 16-year-olds that's not so openly gay, prefers to save his drama for the school musical. But when an email falls into the wrong hands, his secret is at risk of being thrust into the spotlight. Now, change adverse Salmon has to find a way to step out of his comfort zone before he pushes out, or he's pushed out of the closet, sorry about that, without alienating his friends, compromising himself, or fumbling a shot at happiness with the most confusing, adorable guy he's never met. Okay, so coming of age book. Yeah, about a guy who's in the closet who is just, I think he dates someone online, so he's never met this person before. He doesn't know if the person is real or he's getting catfished. And he gets, an email gets leaked out and he's wondering if his secret will be told. So, you know, one of those kind of books or movies, if you're interested. I'm not gonna say I loved it. I didn't hate it. Yeah, I didn't hate it. 18. Okay, so number 18 was The Shack by, it says W.M. Paul Young, Oh my goodness, I thoroughly enjoyed this book. I didn't even know that it was a motion picture or a movie. I think after I finished listening to it, I'm like, oh my God, Mom, you need to like read this book or watch the movie or something. And she was like, oh yeah, we went to go see it. Her and my dad. Yes, and I'm my stepdad. When I say they go to the movie at least twice a week, they go on Tuesday when it's discounted rate, and they go on Friday for date night. And when we're home, it's for family night. So they love movies, and she had already seen it. I should have known. But yes, this movie was amazing. It was a Christian movie. Yeah, it was a Christian movie. Okay, so I'm going to read you a little bit. After his daughter's murder, a grieving father confronts God with desperate questions and finds unexpected answers in this riveting and deeply moving #1 New York Times bestseller. Oh my goodness, this book was good. So the premise of the movie is his daughter is murdered when they're away on vacation, and he goes back to where it all happened. He confronts God, the Holy Spirit. Well, let me tell you, it was amazing. I loved it. I really want to see the movie. Put that on my list of things to do. I need to go and see that in film, because just hearing it, it was just so moving, and I'm sure I cried. I'm sure I cried. Okay, so if you guys are into any of that, then please go and see the movie, read the book. It was amazing. I will recommend that book. Okay, guys, we're getting there. So I'm on number 19. 19 is another series, and this is one that was very unexpected, a different genre again. So I would say this is more sci-fi, I guess. I don't know. It was about Greek mythology. Let's say that. Greek mythology, heroes, demigods, just super exciting stuff. I'm like, all of this imagination. So I put it like Harry Potter, right? So my niece Journey loves Harry Potter. So once she's finished with all those books, I'll probably recommend this series. I probably read all of them at this point. But this was #1. It was called The Lost Hero by Rick Riordan. And this is book #1 in the Heroes of Olympus series, okay? So after saving Olympus from the evil Titan Lord, Cronus, Percy, and friends have rebuilt their beloved Camp Half-Blood, where the next generation of demigods must now prepare for a chilling prophecy of their own. Yeah, it was really good, guys. Like, really good. All the demigods are children of gods that made it with humans. So they have a human parent, and then they have a god that is also one of their parents. And they're all, I believe they're all teenagers or kids or teenagers or something of the sort. And it's all about them and all the quests that they come upon, saving each other, trying to help the gods fight off, you know, evil. It's really good. I enjoyed it. I feel like I've never seen the book because I only listened to it, but I feel like it'd be really thick, just like those Harry Potter novels. Book number 20 was also in that series. It was the second one in the series, The Son of Neptune. Okay. And it brings up some new demigods. So some new demigods are added, but a lot of the same ones are still, you know, throughout the entire series. Number 21, In My Sister's House, a novel by Donald Welch. Skylar and Storm Morrison. They may be gorgeous twin sisters, but they are as different as night and day. Skylar is savvy and book smart. Storm is shrewd and street smart. But a twist of fate lands Storm in jail while she must trade her Fendi bags and Prada boots for the orange jumpsuit and laceless white sneakers. Meanwhile, Skylar makes a name for herself by transforming the restaurant that once belonged to her twin's father, Dutch, into Legends, Philadelphia's hottest new nightclub. Now, newly released from prison, Storm has some serious living to do. Okay, so the storyline wasn't bad. It was interesting. However, I don't know that I loved the writing. I don't know that I loved the dialogue, but it was a good book. It was a, I believe this was an African-American novel. It was some twists in it. It was some turns, a little bit of a surprise in the ending. yeah, it was an okay book. I don't recall everything about the book, but I think I liked the story. I did finish the book, and yeah, I don't know if it's one of my favorite. I would definitely say it's not one of my favorites, but it was a good read. You have something you want to read, there's a book for you. Number 22 goes back to the Heroes of Olympus. It was number 3, The Mark of Athena. So again, I did all these on the library, so I would put a hold on a book and all of a sudden it would show up on my shelf. So in the meantime, I would read different books. But you know, when I get into something like a series, I just want to read the next one and the next one and the next one. So yeah, that's what happened with this one. And they were really, really, really good books. And this Rick Riordan, his Heroes of Olympus is a series, but then he has another series. I read both series. I think it was like 4 or 5 to 6 books in each one of them. So last year I was on a roll with that one. Okay, number 23, An American Marriage by Tayari Jones, T-A-Y-A-R-I. I think that's how you pronounce it. And this is also one from the book club, and I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed this book. It was a 2008 Best of the Year selection, a New York Times and Washington Post notable book. It won Women's Prize for Fiction, Aspen Words Literary Prize. It won a lot of awards. It was a really good book. Even former President Barack Obama said it was a moving portrayal of the effects of a wrongful conviction on a young African-American couple. Okay, so newlyweds, Celeste and Roy, are the embodiment of both the American dream and the New South. He is a young executive and she is an artist on the brink of an exciting career. But as they settle into the routine of their life together, they are ripped apart by circumstances neither could have imagined. Roy is arrested and sentenced to 12 years for a crime Celeste knows he did not commit. Though fiercely independent, Celeste finds herself bereft and unmoored, taking comfort in Andre, her childhood friend and the best man at their wedding. As Roy's time in prison passes, she is unable to hold on to the love that had been there at her center. After 5 years, Roy's conviction is suddenly overturned, and he returns to Atlanta ready to resume their life together. When I say, listen, you're going to jail for 12 years, I don't know about being this ride or die, but I mean, the man, they say he didn't do it. It was overturned and he comes home. That's a lot. It's a lot. It is a lot. This book was good. I recommend it. Highly, highly recommend reading that book. Yeah, that was a good one for the book club. Okay, number 24, The Heroes of Olympus again. This was book number 4 and it was called The House of Hades. So that was a good one. 25 was I believe the final book in that series, and it was The Blood of Olympus by Rick Riordan. So then after I finished that series, remember I told you guys it was 2 series? So I went on to the next one. My book number 26 is The Lightning Thief by Rick Riordan, and this is book number 1 in the Percy Jackson and the Olympian series. So Percy Jackson is a good kid, but he can't seem to focus on his schoolwork or control his temper. And lately being away at boarding school is only getting worse. Percy could have sworn his pre-algebra teacher turned into a monster and tried to kill him. When Percy's mom finds out, she knows it's time for him to know the truth about where he came from, and he goes to one place he'll be safe. She sends Percy to Camp Half-Blood, a summer camp for demigods on Long Island, where he learns that his father he never knew is Poseidon, the god of the sea. Okay, so Percy Jackson is in the Heroes of Olympus, but then it goes back and takes us to when he was a child and growing up. So this series is just about him and his development, I guess, to become a hero of Olympus. Okay, so yeah, good series. I am going to highly recommend it to those Harry Potter fans, to my niece Journey, because I think once she finishes those books, she may enjoy these as well. So 27 is See Me by Nicholas Sparks. In this suspenseful New York Times bestseller, a chance encounter between a successful lawyer and a rebellious bad boy will change life as they know it forever as their past catch up with them. So I believe Nicholas Sparks wrote The Notebook. So you already know what kind of book this is. I mean, romance and, you know, just really good book. I think I enjoyed this book. So much so that the very next book I read was also by Nicholas Sparks. It's called Every Breath. For one, New York Times bestselling author Nicholas Sparks returns with a story about a chance encounter that becomes a touchstone for two vastly different individuals, transcending decades, continents, and bittersweet workings of faith. This one was good. It wasn't one of my favorites. I think the guy was from Zimbabwe. The woman was from North Carolina in America. He came for a visit on a trip. It just was different. It was still good. It was still a love story. I wasn't as into it as I was the other two books, though. Okay, number 29. We're almost at the end. So number 29 was Be Careful What You Pray For by Kimberla, Lawson, Roby. And again, like I mentioned before, she is one of my favorite top 5, I guess, African-American fictional writers. I told you she did the Christian twist, like with Curtis Black and all that. So this one is his daughter. This is about his daughter, Alicia. Alicia Black is back. The pampered, privileged daughter of the irresistible scoundrel, Reverend Curtis Black, and protagonist of Kimberla, Lawson, Roby's New York Times bestseller, The Best of Everything. Alicia makes her triumphant return in Be Careful What You Pray For. She is newly remarried to a man of the cloth who unfortunately mirrors far too closely to her rascally dad. Okay, the Reverend Curtis Black himself, star of Sin No More, Too Much of a Good Thing, and other popular Roby novels, co-stars in Be Careful What You Pray For, a tale of love and ambition that once again deals with important issues as it tells a witty, moving, page-turning story, a best-selling combination. Yeah, it was a good book. So if you've ever liked any of her books, if you grew up in an African-American church, you always had some inklings about stuff going on, this book, yeah, it'll definitely keep you hooked. And then book number 30, I believe this is a book club book as well. It was a book club book, and it is called The Pastor's Husband by Tiffany L. Warren. Okay, so Felicia Caldwell has a great job, a healthy bank account, and stunning good looks, but she longs for her husband and family to go along with it. So when charismatic superstar pastor Naya Hempstead declares that partnership is on the way, Felicia is elated until her life becomes filled with more curses than blessings. 5 years later, someone has to pay, and that someone is Naya. Soon, Felicia is moving to Dallas, joins her church that is led by Naya as the co-pastor and her husband Gregory. Okay, so that book was really good. I wasn't expecting what I found out. There were some twists and some turns, and I think you guys should read it. I was a little confused at first. I'm like, the pastor's husband? I'm like, oh, the pastor must be a woman. Okay, so I was like, okay, but it's a good book. It's a really good book, and I think you guys should read it. You know, I grew up in the church, and so I'm sometimes intrigued by some of that stuff. Some of the stuff, you know, I've experienced by having a stepdad who's a deacon, and, you know, being in church my entire life, and all that good stuff, having a best friend whose father's a pastor. Like, you're just around this stuff all the time. So some of it is funny and surprising, and some of it, of course, it is all fiction. However, you know that there's always a little truth in everything. So that was a really good book. That is my 30th book that I read in 2019. Thank you guys for listening. I don't know if you wanted any book recommendations, but if you do, you just got 30 new ones. I will also be doing a video on the 30 books I plan to read this year. I am already I think I'm already on book number 3. It is January the 30th, and I'm already on book number 3. That I actually have to return in 6 days. So I will be listening. So, quick tips. So, how do you read 30 books in 1 year? If you're a busy person, you listen to them. You listen to them when you have downtime, when you're cleaning the house, when you're cleaning your room, when you're, doing housework. You listen to them while you are driving to and fro to work. You listen to them when you are getting ready in the morning. Those are tips that if you feel like you don't have the time, maybe you have a family, you have kids running around. So when you have some of that quiet time, just listen to your books. Okay. And how do you get free audiobooks? Because I think Audibles is about $14.99 a month. And so some people just don't want to pay that much because you may not read them and you still have to buy the book even after you have the subscription service. So I think for my mom 1 year, I don't know if it was a Mother's Day or a birthday gift, but I got her a year subscription to Audibles, and it came with like every month she got free credits or free points. So she'd get more books that way, or they would offer her books for an affordable price or a cheaper price just for being a member. So she got free books that way. But I get free books with a library card, especially in Michigan. The Suburban Cooperative, I believe what it's called, is the Michigan Suburban Cooperative. But I don't know if any other states do it, but I say at least try it out or see if you can get an audio book from your current library, Other than that, let's see. So I gave you tips on how to read the books or listen to the books, and I gave you tips on how to get free books. So you can get them with a library card. You can also get a free trial of Audibles, and I believe they give you 2 or 3 credits, probably 2, but those are good for a book. So no matter how much that book costs, you can get a book with that. So I think when I first did that, I read Gabrielle Union's book. I read Michelle Obama's Becoming. So as you guys can see, a wide variety. When they're free, you can read whatever you want. If you don't like it, you just put it down, come back to it, or just stop reading it. I don't think I did too many of that. Some of them I would just hold and do it again if I couldn't get through it, like I think the highest book. But either way, I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you guys are reading. And if so, let me know, what kind of books do you like? I will have more videos on books, author things, and just things I'm talking about in my upcoming book, Simply Success. So stay tuned. Please like, subscribe, and comment.